take you to the broadcast of It's Time with Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Here's Reverend Martin.
All right, thank you, Dr. Blackwell. And let me say Hotep Habaragani to my Africana Studies colleagues, contemporaries, and seekers after the truth all. I think we're all seeking after the truth these days. And let me go on to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, but certainly never good night and never ever goodbye, because the older I get, the more I find goodbyes traumatizing. I still miss my wife, Carrie, who died in 2012, and after all these years, she's still in my mind. So I don't say miss me with the goodbyes, but you know the way. And but I'm sure you will give an old man leeway in that. This is a social justice offering, and it is not so much preachy, but we do get into the things that are affecting us from a biblical standard. Try to be spiritual as the Lord shall give us to be spiritual, but not didactic and never, not dogmatic and never pedantic, because we all must stand before the judgment seat of Christ. Is that right? All right. I am Reverend Nathaniel Wayne Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles, and we're located at 8916 South Main Street here in the beautiful city of Los Angeles, and we're being hosted by our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, which is pastored by my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Della F. Hollanders. And when you're over that way, or if you are in the neighborhood, or you think about us, come on down. We on Sundays, we begin Sunday school at 10 a.m., followed by a morning worship around 11:15, if we can get them out of the kitchen. And then, of course, we're back to our regular routine as relates to our 3:30 services. And so you're welcome to come to any and all of our services. It'd be good to see your face in the place. And like I said sometime before, I don't bother people no more when I see them, and I don't ask them to do anything extraneous. If they just want to come and sit and be in the service, hey, I'm happy to see your face in the place, because it's a blessing to me for you sitting there. All right. Now, as we said, this is a social justice thing broadcast, and we try to deal with the environment, which we're doing as a species on this earth. We have done a poor job of stewardship, and the economics, because we live in a capitalistic system that is now worldwide. And so we call those the two E's: the environment, how we are affecting the environment, and how the environment is affecting us, whether it's in police brutality, or whether it's some judge signing a no-knock warrant that allows the police to come kick down our doors. All of that is the makeup of our natural environment and our political, social environment. And believe me, our socio-political environment problems are legend. We can say amen to that. Our scripture guide is that found in Proverbs and chapter 14 and verse 34, which it says, righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. And then we follow that up with the St. Luke chapter 12 and verse 1, the last clause of that verse, where Jesus He's talking to his disciples, and he says to them, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. And believe you me, we have a surplus rather, of hypocrisy, or cognitive dissonance, as the sociologists teach us to pronounce that word. Don't call a man a hypocrite, just say that he has cognitive dissonance. All right, in the Ephesians chapter 6, verses 11 and 12, which I'm sure you're familiar with, it says, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And of course, when you consider our political conundrums and situations that we are embarked upon today, you can say amen to that. I don't know how many of you watched the counter State of the Union, State of the People address given by Dr. William Barber this week, or how many of you actually watched the State of the Union address? Most of us were trying not to give those algorithms those eyeballs all at one time. So that's why we were having a counter State of the Union with Dr. William Barber, and so that Trump couldn't boast about how high the TV ratings were, how many people were watching, because you know he's going to exaggerate. And so we were trying to, we, other social activists and sociologists, far up my pay grade, decided that it would be a good thing if we could kind of shift our eyeballs, some of our eyeballs away from that, I don't want to call it a debacle, let's say from that event, because believe me, it was an event. And one good thing about it, the Representative Al Green from my home state and my hometown of Houston, Texas, finally had the backbone. He was just so incensed when he heard Trump lying and saying he had a mandate, and he told him, he waved his cane in his face and told him, you don't have no mandate to cut Medicaid, or you don't have a mandate to cut Medicare, you don't have a mandate to cut Social Security. And of course he wound up being tossed out. And I marked that because during Obama's presidency, one of the Republicans I think it was Obama's first State of the Union speech, stood up and called him and said, "You a lie!" And he was not tossed out. He was not arrested. The sergeant of arms didn't come, as they did to Representative Al Green. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, no relation, she's a white lady from Georgia, representative from Georgia, and Lauren Boebert, who is the representative from Colorado, chronically badgered President Obama during his subsequent State of the Union addresses, and they had no concern for decorum. And I fault my Democratic Party because they sat there on their hands during those years and dismissed it or overlooked it. And now you see when the Republicans have the ball in their court, now Hakeem Jeffries said, well, now we can't do nothing about it. Well, you had power during those other years where you could have exercised it. Just like these Republicans are exercising power, they didn't have to throw Al Green out of there. What was that, Monday or Tuesday night, State of the Union? No. But they did treat him like he was a black man, and not only throwed him out, went the next day and censured him. That means they put something, a blot, a disgraceful blot, sullied his reputation, because they have the power to do that. The Democrats had the same power when they were under the years of Barack Obama and Joe Biden. But no, they did not exercise that. And now you see how the Republicans are ungrateful. They don't care about you didn't censure them. They're going to censor you. You see, they got, and according to what I'm hearing or reading, there is another group that is connected with the Congress that is preparing a more severe censure of Representative Al Green. God bless his heart. He must have heard the voice of Sylvester Turner, who had passed away just that day before, telling him, you know, that to fight for Medicaid, fight for Medicare, fight for Social Security. Because believe me, in the state of Texas, even Al Green, Representative Al Green, said that, and I know that to be a fact, that the Obama administration tried to give Texas $100 billion to health care for the poor. And you know what Texas governor did? Turn it down. Turn all that money down with all them sick people there in Texas. Especially up there in Houston where my folks live. But no, the government turned it down. It wasn't the Greg Abbott, because he's in there now. It was the other guy. I can't think of his name. Rick Perry or something. Before I mess it up. The prior guy, in other words. They turned that money down. And of course, you know, the government of Texas is a notorious government. You know, they got off the grid that all 50 states are on. So that if you have a severe winter like they had the other year there in Texas, where they caught Ted Cruz in the airport going down to Cancun somewhere in Mexico, where it was warm, and the whole state of Texas was frozen. Man, I'm telling you. But that's because they got off the grid. Because California could have shifted electricity to Texas, but Texas had treated California very safely. You remember that Enron thing, where these fools in California who were in the California State Senate thought it was a good idea to sell off the California electrical grid, all of the property in California. They sold it to Enron. And where is Enron now? I rest my case. But the long story short of it is that evidently Enron was able to convince the state of Texas to get off the national grid. And so the citizens of Texas almost froze to death. That was about 2 years ago now. Ain't been that long. And that's because of the hubris of these the Texas legislature. They don't want to do anything to help the poor. They have such poor health care in the state of Texas that when most of the elderly go in the rest home, it's a death sentence. The desperation that you see in their faces when you go down there to visit, they don't get good health care in the state of Texas, and in none other state. But let me not belabor that point, because I wanted to talk about how they did Al Green, and that the Democrats should have been doing that very same thing to Marjorie Taylor Greene and to Lauren Boebert. I think her last name is Boebert, B-O-H-B-E-R-T, from Colorado, because they missed no opportunity to act up in the committee hearings or act up in the General Assembly of the House of Representatives. Oh no, they showed out. And like I said, I'm trying to keep from using the bad word, but they treated Al Green like he was a black man, with all of the connotations in your mind. But the point of it was the Republicans were able to censure Al Green. It was the bottom line was not only did the majority would they vote for the censure, but they had 10 Democrats. Let's see. One of them from California, named Amy Barra, who was a fellow that looks like a white man. Had Jim Costa, and there's another one here. There was 10. There were 2 at least from California, Mr. Amy Barra and Jim Acosta. Thought I had another one, a third one, but I guess I don't see it. And you had 2 from New York, Miss Laura Gillen and Thomas R. Swozey, who replaced George Santos. And of course, you know that they made some deals under the table to get their votes. He promised them something. 10 Democrats. They couldn't stand with the rest of the Democrats. You know, that the Republicans stand together. They are a solid block. But the Democrats, not so much. I'm ashamed of the Democratic Party, really, because of the way that they have conducted themselves. It shouldn't, Representative Al Green shouldn't have been up there by himself. And when they put him out, all the Democrats should have got it. What did they stay for? What was the point of listening to these mendacities? Put it that way. You use a noble word. That's what you call. Now they call that the science of lying. They made an art out of it. It's always been an art form. Mendacity. Yeah. So Trump was spouting mendacities in the State of the Union message. And they didn't have to endure that. I think that he was up there for 99 minutes. That's well over an hour and a half, man. And just spouting lies, and I don't use the word lies now, but that's really what it was. He was just spouting lies, and embellishing those lies, and elaborating on those lies. He even had one little black boy who is a cancer victim, and he made him an honorary Secret Service member, like that means something. But the point is, he cut that young man's cancer research. And by him cutting Medicare, Medicaid, that's going to harm that young man. But he glosses that over, he papers that over, disguises it like he's doing some great thing for this young man. He's doing some great thing. He's shortening that young man's life. Because the necessary treatments or the possible breakthrough cures and healthcare won't get to him because he can't afford it. Let me not get worked up about that. But you get the point, the picture, and the Democratic Party is a laughingstock. They don't stand for nothing. How are we going to support them in 2016 when we look at what they're doing visually on the television and in the assembly there, in the legislature? They way up there in Washington, and they got the best health care in the world. One thing I like about Al Green, he said, I wish all of my constituents in Houston had the same level of health care that I have. Well, that's what Bernie Sanders said. As a matter of fact, that's what Barack Obama said. But then he changed it. But health care is vital. It is critical. Health care should be a right. I think some politicians said that, if I make no mistake. I believe it was Barack Obama. Said health care should be a right rather than just a privilege. Representative Al Green said that health care is wealth fare. Now you find out who got it and who don't got it, because these procedures are prohibitive. The medicine, the prescriptions are prohibitive, and if you don't got it, they're gonna push your gurney over in the corner. They may not push it in the corner, but they're gonna show and go to somebody else, and they're gonna do just like they told my member some years ago when her daughter had an accident, and they brought her to the Good Samaritan Hospital, and the doctor brought the whole family in. I know because I was included as the pastor, and the doctor said, "Well, we can't do no more. We want you to take off all of the life-saving equipment." And the mother, bless her heart, had the gumption to speak up and say, "No, I'm not going to give up on my daughter." And they were able to make arrangements to have her moved to the current location in a rest home here, away from Good Samaritan Hospital. But the point is, health care is wealth fare. If you ain't got no money, you ain't gonna get no good health care. No, indeed. You can talk about I'm a American citizen all you want. You're gonna find out whether you're a citizen or not when you need health care. And we being black people have never gotten good health care for the most part from our health care system. If you were blessed enough to have like Kaiser, then you had access to pretty good health care. But for the most part, most of us, I should say, we ain't got no Kaiser. And I remember when I first came to California, the best insurance you could have was Blue Cross insurance. It would ask you, do you got Blue Cross, Blue Shield? After that, everything was coming down the line. And because most of us couldn't afford that premium, because I think Blue Cross was almost $400 a month. And of course, it's gone way up since then. It doesn't offer the benefits that it did at that time. But again, I'm digressing. Also, don't forget about the Department of Education, that this was high on the agenda of the Project 2025. And they are determined, they being the Republicans, are determined to destroy the Department of Education. And that was a program, a department that was started under the late President Jimmy Carter. He started that back in 1979, and when Reagan came in, he took aim at the Department of Education right then. He just wasn't able to kill it. But it's been on the chopping block ever since Jimmy Carter started it. And the Department of Education is sends money, federal money, to public schools. It administers college financial aid. It's managing the helps manage federal student loans, and that's why you get them Pell Grants that allow you to finish your college education. And it's been a big help for the students with disabilities, no matter what the disability was, even whether it was a language disability. And so the Trump administration is determined to return education to the control of the state. And if you study history, you know how education under state control was handled, and why the federal government had to step in the first place. It's because that the state of Mississippi or whatever other state it was, even in New York, they spent on the separate but equal, Plessy v. Ferguson, which was passed in 1896, on the theory of separate but equal. They do the same thing for the colored schools at the 5 minutes at that time as they did for the white schools. So the white schools always had better equipment, better resources. You can read the anecdotes where what was some black kids was able to go on a field trip, mind you, to a neighboring white school, and how amazed they were at the big, huge auditorium and all the audio visual equipment and the boards that they had. And then they had a swimming pool in the white school, but no swimming pool in the black school. And so that was unequal. It was separate, true enough, but it was definitely unequal. And so that is where that doctrine fell down. And of course, in the state of Alabama, they were not going to spend no money on no Negroes, as they call them, when they wasn't calling it something worse. So if education is put back in the hands of the states, you can bet your bottom dollar that separate but unequal policy will be the order of the day again, because if it didn't work the first time, and remember, it was just as segregated up in New York schools and in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania schools as it was in the Mississippi schools and the Alabama schools or the Texas schools, where it was de jure segregation back south. It was de facto segregation here in California and everywhere else, and going on to the north, the west, and the Midwest. It was all de facto. That means they practiced it, but they didn't say they was doing it. And so you can understand what with their banning books already, and some of the books that they are banning in Texas, some of the teachings. They're teaching that slavery was a jobs program. Well, no, that was no job program, because on a job program you get paid, and our people didn't get paid for over 246 years. That account is still drawing interest. So you can see that just handing it back over to the states to be responsible for educating your child or my child, not going to work. And then the white folks claim they don't want y'all to embarrass them by telling the truth about how vicious the system, socio-political system, was here in America. They don't want the history taught that goes before slavery. It goes all the way back to civilization, beginning of civilization, which civilization began in Africa, not in Europe. And so if that type of history is going to be taught, naturally the white folks ain't going to want you to teach that, because everybody wants to say that Thug Columbus was a hero. But of course, my time is up. Remember, if you're working on a job and they don't want to pay you, take Reverend Martin's considered advice. And if they don't want to pay you what you were, don't work for them. Thank you, Doc. We out of here. Love you.
My good days, outweigh my bad days, yes they do. I just say thank you, Lord.